residential tech talk, lighting specialist to residential tech.
Welcome to Residential Tech Talks. I'm Jeremy Glowacki, Executive Editor of Residential Tech Today. On this week's podcast, Jennifer Kirkpatrick joins us from Denver, Colorado, where she is Director of Sales for American Lighting. Jennifer and I met a few months back at the Lightapalooza conference in Glendale, Arizona, where she provided an overview of her company's linear and tape lighting offerings and explained some terminology to me that's still not as fresh in my brain as, let's say, audio and video categories have been for years and years. So I appreciated that at the time and thought it would be really nice to have Jennifer on the podcast to talk about her background and career, discuss the custom integration channels needs to know for the lighting category and specifically for American Lighting's extensive lineup of products for their next lighting design and installation. Jennifer Kirkpatrick, welcome to the podcast. Great to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
For sure. And we're recording this on May 13th, which is we're basically into summer weather in the spring here in the Midwest where I am. You're in Denver, and I feel like even though it's spring, it's still you've got that threat of snowfall. Are we past that yet, or are we still having a couple of those weird weather moments for you?
You know, I wish someone would tell Colorado that it's springtime. Still a lot of cold weather. We had snow, not last week, but the week before. This Mother's Day was very rainy and cold. So we're getting it. It's going to be in the 80s this weekend. So hopefully we'll continue on with some nice weather, but you never know. It could be another snowstorm.
Yeah, well, to be fair, when it's in the middle of the winter, people can go snow skiing in shorts, right? So, you can have some nice winter.
They will.
Yeah. Well, so I guess to get started, and I definitely want to dive into how you got into this business and all that, but just for folks to get some context, who are still getting kind of familiar with the lighting category and the CI channel, you have American Lighting as the parent company that you are obviously your title is part of American Lighting as Director of Sales. But then there's ProLuxe, and is that, as I understand it, the division that is focused on the professional installation CI channel for the company?
You got it. Yes. So American Lighting has been around for 30 years. I've been with the company for 11 years. I started out as working in our seasonal division. So they hired me to cold call landscapers, municipalities, and sell Christmas lights year round. As you could imagine, it was a tough gig. My first day was January 1st. So I got hung up on a lot selling holiday lighting. And then I moved into lighting showrooms. And then in 2019, one of our showrooms, Imagine More, was part of ProSource. And they were like, hey, any interest in selling in the CI channel, joining a buying group? And to be honest, I was like, oh, a buying group, no thank you. We have enough of those. But then I started meeting the dealers and learning how sophisticated they were, the fact that they are owning the project from pre-wired to installation to maintaining systems. And we found that we, had this great partnership with the dealers. And because most of our product is low voltage, there was just this opportunity to go and sell through the CI channel. And in 2019, we created ProLuxe, which is specifically catering to the CI channel. And what makes ProLuxe different is that we provide layout services that are free for every dealer. It doesn't matter if you're doing business with us or not. Technical support, programming, education, hands-on trainings. So we try to be an extension of the dealer's team. But ProLuxe has done very well the last 5 years, and we're only seeing more growth year after year.
Oh, that's great to hear. And I'm assuming when you say buying group, was that HTSA at the time?
It was not. Sorry, Tom. No, it was ProSource.
Oh, it's ProSource, right? Well,
ProSource
and
yes.
HTSA both, and now Azion is very, very involved as well. But both very pioneering in their approach to lighting there for sure. With realizing it's a great opportunity. But yeah, Tom Daugherty obviously took that his background in lighting control and understanding the lighting fixtures business and started Lightapalooza then. But the buying groups have been instrumental for sure. And now CEDIA is very much on board and understanding the importance of the category as well. Before we dive deeper into the category, so what were you like growing up? Were you at all focused on design in your vision of your future, like what things you wanted to be when you grew up, or anything from a technology side of things?
Yeah, so I don't think anyone wakes up saying, "Hey, I want to get into lighting." It's something that just happened over time. In my childhood, my parents did a lot of fix and flips, but we were the ones that lived in the house while they were getting fixed up. So I was exposed to a lot of interior design, construction, fabricating. My dad is very handy. Um, so I grew up around home building and design. And then as I went through school, I went to school for business marketing at CU. And a big emphasis on that was also design. So I minored in design, and then I took a job with a furniture company called Scandinavian Designs. And of course, I graduated college in '08 when the economy tanked and there were no jobs. So I went and worked for a furniture company where if you didn't sell, you didn't eat. So there was a lot of time on the showroom floor working with interior designers and homeowners and builders. And then after 5 years, I was like, I really want to get on the manufacturing side. I want to be part of the progress and the technology and bringing new products to market. And that's when I discovered American Lighting. I went knocking on their door, asking for a job. And that's when they said, well, we don't have anything available except for cold calling holiday lights. So come aboard and you can get started. And, the rest is history.
Yeah. And when you say the seasonal lighting, the holiday lighting, I'm assuming that means the type of lighting that you do keep. Well, I mean, there's all kinds, right? But you're not talking about the kind that you go to Target and pick up to decorate your yard with. This is commercial, residential, installed holiday lighting types of stuff where you could keep it up year round and it sort of stays hidden, or
yes, it's definitely commercial. We did a lot of malls, a lot of municipalities, but it's going to be the commercial grade that they keep up year round. And then there's a lot of control elements to it as well. So, Santa flying across the light strings, all the over the top stuff.
Right. And I noticed all that stuff with American Lighting's catalog, and it was quite extensive because when you're learning about lighting for the CI channel, you're obviously thinking downlights and decorative lighting, obviously for certain categories, and also the tape and the linear that is a big part of the American Lighting ProLuxe lineup. So your company kind of does it all, right? You're not, even though at Lightapalooza, I felt like you were kind of focusing on the linear more in that particular setting. Explain to me why that was the focus there versus, hey, we've got all of these, we've got exterior, we've got downlight, that whole thing. I felt like that was your focus, was more like the linear. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, no, you nailed it. So American Lighting has a wide breadth of products because we cater to lots of different channels. So electrical distribution will typically go with more commodity items, pop-in retrofits, kind of lower cost products. Then we have the lighting showrooms that are getting into more of the high-end residential. Typically, it's going to be products that are not controllable, just because that part of it takes a control system. And then we have the low voltage side, which is a lot of linear lighting, which is also color changing, DMX addressable. So rather than, opening the curtains and saying, hey, you have access to all of this product, where it can become very overwhelming, and then you can start stepping on toes of other channels, which then makes it even harder to enter into this channel. We wanted to be very specific and say, hey, we are your linear lighting partner. We have every type of linear lighting, and we're here to support it. And guess what? It's low voltage, so you don't have to worry about stepping on the electrician's toes, because a lot of times that we find that electricians aren't interested in the low voltage side. They're interested in pulling the high voltage wire and then kind of stepping back from it, because on the low voltage side, there's a lot of customization in the field. It can be cut, it could be reassembled, you're adding it to a control system, you have multiple channels for addressing. So there is a ton of product that American Lighting offers, but until we get to a point where integrators feel comfortable taking on those new product categories, we decided to, hey, let's just focus on what the dealers already understand, which is low voltage systems.
Right. And I hear that when I have hosted panel discussions and we talk to experienced integrators and we talk about what is that first step, that safe step into the category. And a lot of times they do say the low voltage linear is the way to go. And often it's the exterior, the landscape lighting as well, even though there's a whole level of education that needs to go into that design, but it's still, it's often, I guess it is low voltage usually, and it's easier to kind of to get, as long as you're willing to get your hands dirty literally and do the digging, it's an easier design to get your head wrapped around without, you're not tearing out ceilings or walls or anything like that to do it. So I see that mindset of why you would have done that. It makes a lot of sense. I did appreciate when we were meeting, as weird as this sounds, you're the first person to say the word extrusion to me and explain what that meant, because it was sort of like a given term for you to say that. Maybe for those who aren't as familiar with linear, what's an extrusion?
Yeah, so extrusions are channels to house your linear lighting fixtures. So it allows you to create your own custom fixtures. So you're going to have in walls, surface mount, recess, 45. And that's what I love about the low voltage system, is that you can mix and match and create your own fixtures that are still UL listed. And some would even say that the extrusion of the channel is the most important part of your system, because it's going to make sure that you don't have any glare, creates no strain on the eyes, creates a finished fixture so that you're not just licking and sticking tape right underneath a cabinet. So it plays a big part in the system, but there are a lot of times where people want to exclude that component, right, to save money. They're like, hey, just give me the tape, give me the power supplies, and I'm good to go. But that extrusion or channel is actually acting as a heat sink as well. So the longevity of the product is going to last longer when you pair those two together.
Yeah, that's great. And to differentiate too, you've got the linear lighting and you've got the tape lighting, which, for my, again, coming in with less knowledge about it, I kind of like put those together. I'm like, well, what's the difference? And then you see that the linear is a hardier kind of design, whereas the tape is really literally tape lighting that you're adhering to a surface, I guess. What's the application for tape versus like a more substantially built linear option?
It's so funny that you say that. So that, to be honest with you, tape light and linear are interchangeable. Basically,
oh, are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
it means the same thing. And the only reason we call it linear is because if you talk about tape light in the market, people's first thought is going to be tape light on Amazon, tape light that I can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's. And really what we're selling is not your run-of-the-mill tape light. It has more copper so that you have longer runs and then the product lasts longer. So we have 3 to 4 ounces of copper within our tape so that you could have a more quality product. We do single binning. So if you order today or you order 6 from now, you are going to have that same color consistency across all of our product categories. We have an 8-year warranty. There are a lot of times where dealers will ask me a fraction of the price. And I always, I challenge them, go buy a reel from Amazon. We've done this in person too. And stretch out that reel of tape, power it up. And what you will see is actually different colored diodes across a 16-foot run. So there's not even consistency on that one reel. Let's not even talk about multiple reels together. There's also limitations to, reconnecting. Most of those are sold as a kit, cannot be cut or reassembled. And then dimming, you can only get down to about 20%, and then it falls or it drops off. So what we offer and what most people think of tape light are completely different. So we wanted to say, hey, this is not tape, this is linear lighting, this is a higher quality product. But going back to your point, we can have tape light, which is diodes on a raw PCB, or we can have neon looking product, which is just tape light with a polyurethane coating over it to add more resilience or make sure that you don't have any issues in the field with water or debris getting inside that connection.
Okay, that helps. Thank you. That's because I did see both terms on your website, and so that's why I was thinking, well, maybe they are different things, but that makes sense in terms of the terminology. And I guess you were mentioning before we started recording that you had a presentation that you used to talk about how we've got an industry where it's been 5 years for some, and maybe even longer for others. I've talked to integrators who've been doing lighting for 10 years before anyone was even acknowledging them. They really had to fight for their way in to be accepted as a lighting professional. So there's some experienced integrators out there, but then there's others who are just getting started. So you wanted to kind of walk through some of the things that needed to be understood, and to show what's possible and what's being done in the channel already. Where did you want to start with that?
Yeah. So I just want to address kind of, the evolution, what we've seen getting into the channel. So I had mentioned 2019 is when we created ProLuxe. We started hiring reps. We started going out into the field and talking to integrators. And at that point, yes, there were a few pioneers out there that had been doing lighting, understood lighting, but the bulk of the dealers that we spoke to had no idea what type of lighting was out there, how to specify it, designs, terminology. And when we went out into the field to talk about linear lighting or tape light, the first question I would get after going through the presentation is, where are your downlights? Because that's what they understood about lighting. That's what they saw. And they didn't realize that linear is a big part of that lighting design and creating multiple layers and zones for different applications, but also to get a different feel in that room. So I'll pull up my presentation. I'm not going to go through it slide by slide, but I want to show people how far the integration channel has come from just specifying linear lighting in a code to doing these really cool installs that we're here to help with along the way. So, it's funny that you mentioned it. You mentioned linear lighting. What is that and how is it different than tape light? So when we talk about linear lighting, it's just a continuous line of light that provides long optics to distribute the light over a narrow space. So that's just the general definition there. And then why linear for the CI channel? We talked about this. It's low voltage, so it's easy to incorporate into whatever system they have. There's tons of opportunity because linear lighting can be cut, it can be customized, it's small profile, it's bendable, so you can place light absolutely anywhere. You can create that specialized wow factor, which I'm going to show you some pretty cool installs that we've done, and then it's easy to control. So if we look at some of these, sorry, I'm going to skip through some of these, but if we look at the layers of light, there's three main layers: ambient, accent, and task lighting. So we have found that tape light can be used for any of these applications. Now that technology has advanced, we have linear that you can get up to 1,000 lumens per foot so that you can use it for overhead lighting. So again, this is where the integrator can go in and instead of selecting a high voltage product, they can choose to light that space with low voltage linear lighting. And then we're going to tell you, do you have enough light in that space? Do you have enough foot candles on your task plane? So we take all of that guesswork out for you. Task lighting. So again, when those undercabs don't have some sort of reveal, great to use linear. And then just accenting architectural features throughout the space. What I wanted to mention is something that you had mentioned earlier too. Outdoor lighting has become such a focus for the integrators because they can do really unique things using low voltage lighting and customizing it in the field. So we're seeing a lot of people embedding it into pillars, kind of what you see here in the top corner, using stair lighting. We do a lot of coping applications around pools. So you can't actually install it into the pool, even though we do have a product for that we can special order. But we are doing the inside of the pool, outlining the outside of the pool. It's all color changing, safe for the end user. And with the integrators helping with the install, it looks beautiful at the end. It's not like with other channels that aren't as involved with customizing products. The integrators are able to give a solution that they're clients are looking for. We're doing a lot of indoor as well. So again, really unique installs where we're removing traditional fixtures and adding linear. So I always like to point out uh, steps, right? So traditionally you'd have that little step light that would go right next to the stair and create a little pool of light on each stair. But what they found is that was creating trip hazards. People were so focused on that little pool of light that they weren't watching where they were going. So by having that continuous line of light, you're reducing the amount of falls, and it's keeping the light below your eye level so that you're not messing with your circadian rhythm. You're not suppressing your melatonin in the middle of the night. So we're finding that not only are we offering better solutions, we're also offering solutions that are better for people that live in that space. Backlighting. So this one picture right here, this was a bachelor that I worked with in Miami, obviously. And
that is the most those two words, bachelor and Miami, tell it all right there.
Right. I think most people would have guessed that without me saying it. So this was with a Crestron system. They backlit that countertop using our sheets. So not only can linear be just single strips, but it could be sheets of diodes. So they're 2 feet by 1 foot, butt them together. You can use it to backlight countertops, pillars. This was at the Kennedy Center where they used white light. And then this was a piece of stone that was imported from Brazil that they wanted to backlight. So we used the sheets to do that. Wow. So again, these are all applications that most trades are not going to want to get involved with, but the dealers have this great opportunity to plan it from start to finish. And then the last thing I really wanted to talk about was the technology. So before, we were very limited on who we could sell high-tech products to, because you have to have an understanding of DMX and controls and how it integrates. So we are seeing a big uptick in pixel lighting. So basically what that is where if you have a continuous 20-foot strip, you can control it every 4 inches. So you can create a gradient effect where your deep saturation of blue then goes to a lighter blue. You can do chasing effects. So I'm going to quickly play this video because I think a lot of times when we talk about color changing pixel movement, I'm like, that's Vegas. I don't need that in my life. But there's some really cool things that you can do that look really fast. So those are the kind of cool things that you can do. You can trigger scenes as well. So you hit it on, it comes up, it chases up, turn it off, it chases down. That way, not everything's coming on and turning off at the same time.
Right. That's just a really good artistic option there for sure. And that's what I'm seeing with a lot of these installations. It's a really creative use of light and practical use of it too. But it's something that I think that I haven't been imagining as much with my thought process with the integrator involved, which is that it does allow that creative outlet that they've been able to have with audio and video in the past, and then a lot of practical technologies in the smart home like shades control and networking and all of that it mixed in there. But then this is just an element that they may be working with a lighting designer, but that's still pretty rare. Lighting designers are not that on that many projects really. So
especially
whether they end up
commercial, you'll see a lighting designer typically, but on the residential side, they typically steer clear. So I've seen where a lot of integrators are hiring lighting designers to be on staff.
Right.
I would say be careful about that though, as naming them lighting designers, just because that's a slippery slope. You become very responsible for hitting IES standards and making sure you have the right light output, that you're not creating lighting systems that could be harmful to the user. And I say that just because there are people with special needs as well. So there's certain requirements when it comes to strobing and placement of light. So it is great to have a lighting specialist on staff, but I would say the key thing there is make sure that you're educating them on all of the standards for lighting so that you can truly give your clients a real lighting design that benefits them.
Okay, that's really good advice and something that I have not heard yet, and I appreciate you bringing that up. Um, so so really, lighting specialist is an okay terminology to use in that case. It kind of gets you.
Lighting,
You
yeah, it's when you add designer to the end of it that it
okay.
becomes, debatable.
Okay, good to know. But nonetheless, just to have the ability to work with the design team on the home and create these really uh, intricate setups that are beautiful, part of the interior design, architecture of the home, the exterior as well, like that pool. That's like a perfect opportunity right there to really bring some attractive qualities to an already beautiful setting, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then you get into like the knowledge of color temperature and lumens and power. All of those are very technical things that need to be understood as well. Are you finding that the CI channel is starting to get more comfortable in that area in general?
I do see that they're getting more comfortable in that area. I also think that, partnering with the right manufacturers are key. In 2019, when we first started selling to the CI channel, most manufacturers were very scared, right? They didn't want to upset the other channels of distribution. They were cautious about getting into the channel. But now everyone sees this opportunity and they are rushing to start selling to dealers. The problem is they're not equipped with the knowledge of how to integrate, how to educate, and they're selling based on price without providing any support to the dealer. So that is why ProLuxe has been so successful. I might be biased, but kind of a leader with the linear when it comes to the CI channel because we really want to educate, right? We want to make sure that the dealer feels comfortable and doesn't get themselves in a spot where they might be losing money to fix something or it puts them in a bad spot with some of their top clients. So it's really important that you're not selecting your manufacturers based on price and whatever shiny object they're offering, but just to get with a manufacturer that wants to be part of the support team and help you along the way. Because we all know dealers are juggling a million different things on the project. Let the manufacturer be that expert when it comes to selecting the right product, the placement. And with our design services, we'll give them a full installation roadmap. So we're going to do driver mapping. We're going to tell them what addresses, what gauge of wire to pull, talk about some obstacles they might run into. We offer custom cuts. So we'll solder all the leads on there for them so they don't have to go through the learning curve of how to solder or how to use connectors. So it's really important that you're finding these key vendors that are going to help support you and work well together. We have a great relationship with Aspire, with DMF, and we work with them closely and understand each other's products so that you can mix all of those products together because an integrator is going to need more than one or two vendors. They're going to need more tools in their toolbox. So what I love about this channel is everyone is very open and welcoming to working with one another. So we have these great partnerships with some of our competitors. We've partnered with Leon Speakers to integrate our lighting into their system. So we know that it integrates well. I can't mention some of our other partners, but there is a series of other vendors in the CI channel that are also looking to us to incorporate more lighting into their products. I also like the fact that, control companies and lighting companies are working together. So we're coming up with better solutions.
Yeah, I really think that was part of what the vibe was at Lightapalooza that felt so good. It was about that, rising tides kind of philosophy, and that it's such a still relatively new category for the CI channel that it doesn't pay to, really go like super competitive against each other. It's like a collaborative kind of scenario and helping to educate the channel and provide all the different pieces that you need. And you do hear that multiple, brands, manufacturers, whatever, are within a job or just within the dealer community and individual integrators. So I appreciate hearing that. And I'm glad you mentioned the Leon thing because that was a recent release, their sconce speaker product that I saw the American Lighting name mentioned in there in terms of providing the linear component on that, right? That cool new product.
Yeah, and I love the Leon team. We worked together for at least a year to put all of that together, but they are so good at engineering and designing. So it was such an easy process to work with them on that. And then they made sure that they had all of the documentation for instruction. So it's great to have this partnership. That way we can all be on projects together without the integrator having to use 26 different gateways to integrate all these different products together.
Right, exactly. Well, there is so much to learn, but the way that the manufacturers, as you described it, are willing to, basically walk through the project with an integrator to help make it as easy as possible is the key to remember here. Don't try to take it all on yourself, right? Just use your partnership there and the opportunities that are available to make it work most efficiently for the design team, the integrator, and the homeowner in the end. So those are great pieces of advice for sure.
Yeah. And then one thing we tell dealers too is if you're not feeling comfortable, but you want to get more comfortable, obviously do an install at your house. We have a great dealer program so that they can get products in their hands and they can install them in their home so they feel comfortable with it. I would say that I've seen a huge uptick in the number of showrooms that dealers are investing in to provide that experience center with lighting. Again, we have a great program for dealers to build out their showrooms and then add those wow factor pieces in there. So, obviously be cautious, dip your toe in the water first, make sure you understand it, but don't let fear hold you back. Because I find with a lot of dealers, right, they start the process and then they get nervous and then they come and they're like, well, hey, how do I really get into this? And all the successful dealers I've talked to, they've just added it to their website and they made it part of their pitch every single time. And now they're finally starting to see traction. It took a year or two for them to make that a natural part of their pitch. But now that they have all these return customers that are coming back to them because they really do offer a unique, service with the wire specifying fixtures, controlling the fixtures, maintaining the system. So it seems to me, and what a lot of dealers are seeing, that it's a natural progression for the dealer to take over the architectural lighting.
Yeah, it is. It does seem like that to me, and I have seen that happen for a lot of integrators, and I've also spoken to those who are very good at what they do and in the traditional CI space, and they're like, yeah, I know we need to get into lighting. We haven't gotten there yet. So there's a lot more of those folks out there and potential clients and customers for you. So that's great. And a lot of education and just getting comfortable out there still to be done. So hopefully this helps folks a little bit more. And I appreciate your time, Jennifer. It's been great getting caught up again. And anything else you want to add before we go, or do you think we've kind of covered the basics for now?
I think we've covered the basics. We plan on being out in the market a lot of trade shows, a lot of travel into the territory. So we will make it known when we are in your territory and welcome you guys to visit us, have us bring demo cases. We have demo cases that you guys can take out into the field. So anything we can do to help, more than happy to.
Well, great. Jennifer Kirkpatrick is Director of Sales at American Lighting. You can learn more about her company at both AmericanLighting.com, but more importantly for the CI channel, the ProLuxe division at ProLuxeLighting.com. And that wraps up today's show, which was produced by Residential Tech Today, IPW, and Pretty Easy Podcasts. If you're new to Residential Tech Talks, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you watched or listened to this episode. Also, check out all the latest residential tech news at our magazine's website, restechtoday.com, where you can also subscribe to the print or digital magazine and to our Tuesday and Thursday email newsletters. Until next time, please stay safe, stay inspired, and let us know if you have a great story to tell.
Residential Tech Talk, lighting specialist to Residential Tech.
Home automation, smart device, home or smart house.